Since the dawn of humanity, we have looked to the stars. But what if the answer to our deepest afflictions lies not in the future of our science, but in the archives of encounters that have already happened? Here at Alien Cases, we begin an exclusive journey with the encouragement and help of the author himself through the pages of a singular work, The Healing Power of UFOs, by researcher Preston Dennett. This is the third part of our series, entirely dedicated to narrating the most extraordinary cases from this archive of 300 true accounts. In Episode 1, Alien Healing Files Unlocked, we opened this archive by presenting 10 cases that challenged medicine. In Episode 2, Saved by Aliens, we continued the exploration with 12 incredible cases focusing on the inexplicable pattern of lower limb healings. If you haven't watched the initial chapters of this journey yet, the links are in this video's description and in the first pinned comment. But save the first two parts for later and dive into this third episode now. Our exploration of Dennett's work now takes us into even more intimate territory, the human torso. We will delve into reports of surgical interventions where the chest and abdomen are opened and closed by beings from other worlds. We will present stories of debilitating spinal injuries erased in an instant by a technology that resembles magic. The question guiding our narrative is not just how this happened, but why, according to the witnesses. Were these acts of compassion, of a cosmic benevolence that sees us as beings to be protected? Or are we the subjects of a cold and calculated experiment where healing is just a side effect? Prepare yourself. The door to the mystery is opening, and we invite you to step inside and reflect on the cases that follow. Our journey begins where life resides, the human torso. The following cases are not numerous, but the patterns they reveal are profound and at times contradictory. This chapter focuses on injuries involving the abdomen and chest. Although there are not many cases, they fall into two main categories: incisions and hernias, exemplifying the same patterns we've seen in other cases. Our first stop takes us to a beach in Isla Verde, Puerto Rico, in the year 1961. A woman was enjoying a picnic with her family under the Caribbean sun. From one moment to the next, without warning, reality dissolved. She was no longer on the sand. She was inside a UFO. The small craft was swallowed by a colossal mothership, and inside, the witness was taken to a room. The purpose of this unexpected abduction? To heal her of a painful hernia that afflicted her. A medical procedure performed light years from any known hospital. 20 years later, in November 1981, the story repeats itself, but in a much more familiar setting. Denise Twiggs of Hubbard, Oregon, gave birth to her son, Christopher, via an emergency C-section. The umbilical cord was wrapped around the baby's neck, and the surgery was unavoidable. Denise was disappointed with the slower recovery that awaited her. However, Denise had alien friends who actually visited her hospital room and accelerated the healing of her incision. In her own words, "The doctors from Andromeda visited me, giving me a helping hand in my recovery. My human doctor was amazed at how fast I was healing. I never told him the real reason." These reports paint a picture of benevolence. But the nature of these encounters is complex, like a prism that shows a different color with each new angle. What begins as trauma can, over time,
be reinterpreted as something positive. The story of Denise and her husband, Bert, began with a sighting, missing time, and a terrifying hypnosis session that revealed an abduction. Over time, however, the nature of their contacts changed, becoming something they came to see as positive and benevolent. But not all encounters end with such clarity. In October 1988, a man we'll call Fred, from New York, was abducted from a friend's apartment. His conscious memory of the event was practically non-existent. The only indications that something had happened were a time lapse in his memory and several scratches, marks, and bruises on his body. Later, he began to have some dreamlike recollections of the event, and eventually underwent hypnotic regression and recovered the event in its entirety. Fred remembers being in a medical room aboard a ship. He underwent a standard examination and had his sperm collected, but he wasn't alone. While in the medical room, he saw other operations taking place. He observed an animal being injected with a needle that extracted fluid from its body, and in another, the horror materialized. A naked woman, perfectly still on a table. To his horror, he saw that the woman had a large surgical incision down the center of her chest. She's been cut open and has a vertical incision from.
Unable to move, Fred watched as the gray beings inserted their hands inside the woman's chest cavity. Fred then noticed the woman's legs were spread open with clamps around her ankles, and a long tube-like instrument was inserted into her vagina. Fred's impression was clear. The examination of the woman, himself, and the animal were part of a related experiment involving reproduction. This was strictly surgical, Fred said. Then he saw another gray being approach the woman, holding a small instrument with lights. The alien pointed a beam of light, similar to a laser, at the incision and healed the cut. What he's doing to the skin as he puts it together is just sealing it as if there had never been a cut, Fred explains. He uses the light, puts the skin together, and you can't tell it was ever cut. A healing? Yes, but a healing for a wound they themselves inflicted. This is not an act of benevolence, but the finalization of a procedure, the cleanup of a laboratory. This pattern of vivisection and instant healing is not unique. Major George A. Filer, a respected figure in UFO research, reported a similar, undated case circa 1980. I had two medical doctors examine a 24-inch horizontal scar on an abductee's chest. They could think of no medical reason to make such a long incision in the man's chest, yet the scar proved the incision had occurred and healed in a matter of hours by a green light. The UFO-nauts used a pencil-like flashlight to make the incision and to rapidly close and heal the wound. The line between healing and experimentation becomes increasingly thin. In Topanga Canyon, California, a woman under the pseudonym Micheline experienced a series of bizarre events that began the night before the 6.8 magnitude Northridge earthquake in 1994. First, a dramatic UFO sighting over her home. She and her boyfriend saw a large diamond-shaped craft towing a smaller ship using a beam of light like a tow rope. The craft hovered over two nearby water tanks before slowly moving away. 2 weeks later, Micheline had another visitation. This time, she saw a gray alien beside her in her room. She tried to get up, but found herself paralyzed. Strangely, she felt no fear. It looked like a cat face with no hair and a combination of a skeleton face, she said. The being communicated telepathically, saying they were experimenting with reproduction and warning that more earthquakes would come.
Weeks later, Micheline developed a lump on the left side of her abdomen. Doctors suspected a hernia and recommended surgery, but she refused. 3 days later, the lump was gone. Days after that, she dropped a 75-pound slab of marble on her foot, leaving an indentation that disappeared within 2 days. Months later, she had a miscarriage and there was nothing in the sac. Micheline credited her healing abilities to extraterrestrials. "When I saw them," she said, "the thing that I wrote down was that I would be able to heal myself, and I would be able to heal people. If they wanted me to heal them, I would be able to heal them." Our last stop in this chapter takes us to Gainesville, Florida, in November 2000. Jim Law was diagnosed with an inguinal hernia, with surgery scheduled for February 23, 2001. About a week before the surgery, he woke up in the middle of the night feeling a presence in the room. In a semi-sleep state, he saw they were gray-type ETs. They came right through the wall. Law felt a wave of fear, but the Greys had visited him before, and he quickly calmed down. Then he told them that if they were going to visit him, they needed to help him or he would make them leave. One of the beings responded, "We know of the condition you are concerned with, and we will help you." One of them held a glowing instrument about a foot long near his hernia. Law felt nothing, but the hernia was healed. Law asked why they continued to visit him. "We are interested in you because you have the genetic potential to live for a very long time." His grandfather was 106 and still active. Law claimed the Greys were trying to hybridize to survive on Earth. Doctors later found no trace of the hernia, which never returned.
Now we move from the chest cavity to the structure that supports us, the neck and back. Anyone who has ever suffered from pain in these areas knows how debilitating it can be. They can have a variety of causes, but are generally due to injuries that result in tissue damage among the muscles, tendons, and bones that make up the spine and neck. In Chapter 6 of Preston Dennett's book that we are studying, he presents 15 cases of neck and back healings. Here, we have selected 2 cases. Some cases involve minor pain, while others involve severe injuries, from chronic pain to injuries that should have been permanent. We return to the summer of 1960 in Seattle, Washington. Jeffrey, a 12-year-old boy born in 1948, was napping on a steel-framed hammock when an accident threw him 7 or 8 feet into the air. "I came down upside down and landed squarely on top of my head," he said. "The last thing I remember was a loud snap, a breaking sound as my head hit my shoulder, a broken neck." Moments later, he woke up, standing, hearing a voice say, "Look up." Above him, 3 mirrored discs hovered in a triangular formation. His brother, who witnessed the scene, saw a beam of light hit him. In seconds, the discs were gone in perfect silence, vanishing within 2 seconds. And Jeffrey's neck? It was healed. "My neck has never caused me pain again to this day," he stated. "My school performance went from poor to exceptional. An instant healing, an enhanced intelligence. A single event that rewrote his future." 13 years later, in March 1973, Olga Adler from the United States was lying in bed suffering from chronic back pain, which made any movement painful and difficult. With her eyes closed, she noticed the room suddenly become bright. Adler was paralyzed and saw a figure in a long, light brown robe resembling a monk's habit, with the hood up and the face hidden in shadows. The entity passed through the closed door, approached, and pressed a heavy metal cylinder into her back, pushing it down. Adler felt warmth and a tingling sensation like electricity. The figure held the cylinder there for about 5 minutes and then left through the door. When Olga woke up, the pain was completely gone. "I could bend and twist and move with absolutely no pain," she said. "I believe I was healed by some type of spirit guide or angel." An angel, an alien, or something that dwells in the shadows between these definitions. Olga's experience highlights the enigmatic nature of these encounters, where technology blurs with the miraculous, and the identity of the healers remains a profound mystery. A year later, the same figure appeared, saying telepathically, "Come with me, it is time to go." She recalled being levitated through a closed window and then experienced missing time. Researcher Mark Chorvinsky, editor of Strange magazine, noted the many parallels with Grim Reaper reports, where witnesses see a faceless, hooded entity. However, this case aligns with numerous UFO healing reports. In many cases, UFO abductions are traumatic events. Witnesses report being taken against their will and kidnapped onto a UFO. Regardless of the motive, this type of behavior is considered a crime in virtually every culture on our planet. Not surprisingly, many abductees resist being taken. Sometimes, this results in injuries. The ETs then proceed to abduct the witness and heal them of the injury they sustained in their attempts to resist the kidnapping.
We have traveled from a hospital bed to an alien operating table, from a near-fatal childhood accident to a silent healing in a darkened room. We have presented another set of accounts drawn from the work of Preston Dennett, which are consistent in their outcomes but vastly different in their implications. We have seen healings that appear as pure acts of compassion, and others that are the final step in an invasive and terrifying procedure, where the emotional well-being of the patient is at best a secondary consideration. This leaves us at a crossroads of uncomfortable questions. What do these acts reveal about the true intention behind the visitations? Are we patients in a cosmic hospital, or guinea pigs in a planet-spanning laboratory? Is there a piece of this puzzle that, for you, is the key to it all? Did you already know any of these accounts, or something similar? If the presentation of these cases has deepened your perspective on the mystery and made you question the boundaries of our reality, leave a like. Every like is a bright signal to the YouTube algorithm, showing that the exploration of enigmas like this must continue. It's vital support that drives us to prepare the next chapter of this incredible collection of 300 accounts compiled by Preston Dennett. And if you are not yet part of our expedition, make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Your voice is crucial on this journey. To dive even deeper into these and many other cases that defy explanation, the link to purchase Preston Dennett's book, The Healing Power of UFOs, is in the video description and the first pinned comment. Get it and become an explorer of these archives yourself. Leave your comment below. In your opinion, what is the boundary that separates healing from experimentation in these accounts? And why would they be so interested in fixing us? Your participation fuels the flame of curiosity. Also, tell us where you're watching Alien Cases videos from. Until the next video, Cosmic Traveler.